Outside of the passion and the dedication I knew I had to bring to the project, there was one thing I knew definitely I didn't want to do. I did not want to fail. Now, normally, this would be considered a good thing, because you wouldn't want to start off thinking that you're going to fail right at the start. Of course not. You think about the possible success, you think about the goals you can achieve, but you don't necessarily think about all the things that would happen on the way, and you certainly don't want to end up failing at the end, because then why do it? But I came to appreciate, sort of with a few examples I'll give you, much more, however, that failing and the continued failures we experience each day are far more defining and valuable than the success and achievements we make. But being young and inexperienced at the time, this would have all sounded very strange to me. Because back then, nobody told me why this was important. As a topic, I don't think there's such a thing as fail school. My parents didn't talk about it. Teachers definitely didn't talk about it. And even the professionals, when I worked in AT&T, didn't talk to me about failing. I just grew up learning that it was a bad thing, like really bad. You just don't fail. I'm not sure if some of you have been reading up on what's sort of the latest rage on the internet about the Chinese tiger mother. It's about the supposed Chinese disciplinary method of educating. Something many of you in Hong Kong will know very well. It's about discipline, about excellent grades, about succeeding, about making sure you get A's. And it's because your parents love you and want to make sure you can achieve the best that you can. And at one point in my life, having Chinese parents, I too was taught with the values of the Chinese tiger mother. And now as a father of my own children living in Hong Kong, I see studying in mathematics and homework at the age of 4. They recite poetry, they do dictation, and teachers demanding perfection and grading accordingly. They get report cards and a system that rewards achievement and punishes failures. You get A for doing well, you get nothing for doing badly. In discussion with fellow parents, I also learned that this was not just our children. They were going through the same thing. And even my cosmopolitan friends, not living in Hong Kong, told me this is not unique to Hong Kong at all. And disappointment and unhappiness is clearly visible in the face of parents for those children that are doing badly. I can speak of personal experience when my son had a challenging time getting into various schools. And to quickly remedy this, like a sick patient, we hired tutors and sent him to makeup classes right after a whole day of school, as if the problem was our children, as if we were the problem. And at least I take comfort in the fact that by seeing all these after-school math and English courses being advertised on buses in Hong Kong, I guess there's a lot of us like us. So at a very young age, we have been trained not to fail. We have been told that failure is not an option. Because outside of the shame to your parents, where you have to repeat a class, or worse, maybe you can get kicked out of the school that your parents worked so hard to get you in, it's not a good thing. You dare not fail. And even in the corporate workplace, for those of you who are working today, you'll come to know that failing in a task in a company is also not a good thing. Outside of humiliation, maybe punishment, or worse even, terminated and losing your job. So we live in a society, as I see it, that detests failure. We're taught to fear failure like it is a disease. I don't see schools teaching about managing it, teachers discussing it, how to overcome it, or how you may improve on it. The most closest variation I see is practice, practice, practice. I'm not really sure where that teaches you well. To me, that doesn't seem right. To truly succeed and to make a difference, we need to embrace failure and not fear it. We must learn from it. We must become its humble student. And you must be willing to face it head on. And face the consequences and treat it as a critical, vital step towards learning. This is how innovation or achievement are done, through strings of failure. Thomas Edison was said to have failed 10,000 times before he made his first electric light. Winston Churchill was said to have failed the 6th grade and never was elected until suddenly he became Prime Minister. And I think some of you may know the story of J.K. Rowling, who was broke, living on welfare, divorced, the end of her rope before penning Harry Potter and becoming the richest lady in Great Britain. Everyone has to go through failure before they can see success. It is not good enough to dare to dream. You have to dare to fall first before you get there. And the bigger the dream, the harder the fall. But that is the nature of risk reward. I want to share with you a story that was significant to me personally. My mother came over to visit me in my early operations when I first set up in Hong Kong Online. This was not going well. Nobody cared about email or the internet. VCs avoided me like the plague wherever they could. And everyone was just interested in real estate and horse races. And I was working in still the same dilapidated conditions. And when she saw my office, and when she saw my home, I could tell what she was thinking. Where did I go wrong as a mother? Or maybe it was, what the hell are you doing, son? All that effort, sweat and tears and love that she put in to try and groom me to become a so-called successful person. And this is where I was, feeding on $10 or $12 styrofoam rice boxes and living in a room that was smaller than her bathroom. What a disappointment I was. That was my moment of great failure. And of course I experienced lots of failure still, but to me, that was defining. Because what my mother thought was the world. I may be independent, working in a foreign country, taking all the chances that I needed to. But it was really important for me that she thought I was doing a good job. And everyone here will have their own greatest fears. It may not even be the actual act of failing in the business, but perhaps more simply what others thought of you, or those people close to you think. And we argued, and we debated it, and at the end, that's why I joined AT&T for a year. And I took that calling to try to maintain and compromise the situation because I thought that was important. But I realized at that point that that setback for me, that like a long-distance relationship, I wanted to go back. I realized this is not what I wanted to do. And fast forward into the future, over a decade, now we employ hundreds of people, 8 different countries, survived, grew through tumultuous, world-changing economic and industrial changes, saw the sale of one of our businesses to IBM. I've made amazing friends, I have an amazing family, and I live with a deep sense of gratitude every day for what has happened. It was only possible because I stumbled many times across the way and learned from it. And what I really learned is that for those who cared for you and who will support you, no matter what, the true friends, family will support you, it doesn't matter whether you work in a corporate. At the end of the day, I started my business, my mother still supported me. She didn't like it maybe, but she supported me. You'll find many friends and long-lost family members thrice removed suddenly once you will be successful. So don't worry about that. Friends will come to you at that point. What I also learned was that I was in fact free to pursue whatever dream I wanted to. Things were tough. I didn't dissolve or disappear. I didn't run away. I learned I was a survivor. That hard work will get me to what I needed to do. And I understood that to realize any challenging goal, outside of dedication and hard work, the passion and persistence, as well as knowledge that you will fail many, many times along the way, was just an important part of that journey. I learned not to fear failure, but to greatly respect it, like an important teacher. Perhaps, for me, my most important one. Because fearing it to me, altogether, means you avoid it like toxic waste, a disease, something you avoid at all cost. And that systematic avoidance of that fear means you don't embrace it and you can't learn from it. You have to tackle it head on. I'm running a little bit out of time here, I see, so I'll make this quick. But I'll say another story a little bit about corporate environments and why in corporations, we talk about basically, we're discouraging risk-taking. We're encouraging, as a result, we're discouraging innovation. And in corporate speak, they call this risk management. And to me, that is just completely risk avoidance. No risk or low risk propositions are appealing because we're taught at a young age to accept those and that those are good things. But what I've learned is that there's no such thing as no risk. And I think all of you know that already today. So I guess I will leave you with a last anecdote. One thing that I spoke to a few other people about the speech, about sort of how to reach for the top. And one method that I've seen in corporations, as well as with people about handling failure, is to dial down your expectation so as not to suffer a hard landing. To me, that is, sometimes people describe that as putting realistic or worst case or market-based forecasts into it. But to me, that is a mistake. You should not drop your expectation. Because how can you reach for the stars when your goal is the first floor? I say by all means, reach for the top, reach for the stars. And you have a high probability of failing. But you will probably, in that journey, as you try to reach for the stars, maybe you'll end up living or taking over that penthouse floor. And that might be good enough. And you'll be grateful for that. So you realize this is just a continuous journey as you keep going on. So start young. Truly challenge yourself. Embrace failure with humility and respect. Be passionate. And have fun doing it. Most importantly, walk. And you will make a difference. Thank you.